Welcome back, folks. In our Political Insider, a political science professor says there's a 95 to 97% chance that Donald is our next commander-in-chief. Hillary and the Democrats are out there shouting about voter discrimination against the Republicans. However, it's the Democrat Party that uses superdelegates to nominate their candidate, so even if you don't vote for their establishment candidate, it doesn't matter anyway. Now, isn't that rich? Let's talk about that for a second, Maury. I heard Hillary Clinton screaming from the rooftop recently that Republicans don't want to let handicapped people vote, they don't want to let minorities vote, black people vote, Latinos vote. They don't want to let anybody vote. They want anybody to vote. But yet the superdelegates control the entire Democrat Party nomination process.
She was nominated before she had to even get one delegate out on the hustings.
She lost to Bernie Sanders by 22 points in New Hampshire and walked away with 6 more delegates than he did because of the superdelegates.
Yeah.
So even if you vote for Bernie, it doesn't matter.
But the average person doesn't know that.
They don't know that.
You know, the one thing I'll say about Bernie, he was looked at as a joke, and I think the main reason why he's become so relatively popular is because she's so bad.
Yes.
She's not only obnoxious in her appearance and in her projection.
It has nothing to do with him. It has to do everything to do with her.
And her, people just don't take to her. She's an antidote to any feeling of compassion or support.
She's a hack. She's never done anything.
No, she's worse than that. She annoys.
Yes.
You know, people that by their very nature, they're trying to be funny or they're trying to be entertaining, and they annoy you by just trying to be that way, and she is one of them.
Yeah. Bernie Sanders really was put up there just because they had to have somebody to run against her.
You know something? That is one of the great mysteries I don't hear much talked about. The bench
on
the Democratic Party is empty. What does that tell you about the Democratic Party?
And their big line is that Republicans are old, white, male. And it couldn't be anything further from the truth. We've had a black representative, 2 Latinos are in the top 4, a businessman who doesn't have anything to do with politics is leading the pack. We had a woman business person. We had an Indian American from Indian background.
I would say in the last 5 years, a shift of all the people you mentioned has been to the Republican Party because they can feel they express themselves more freely, and the freedom that comes with being able to get things done yourself. Small business is basically in the Republican Party. And the dictatorial party of this country today is the Democrat Party.
So there's a political science professor who's only missed one election in the last, I guess not him, but the scientific method
system, yeah,
has only missed one in the last 104 years, predicts a 95% chance that Trump beats Clinton and 97% chance if he goes up against Sanders. Is it that much of a contrast right now?
Well, that to me is kind of severe, but I think, and I don't know what system they use. But
and when 45% of Americans don't pay any federal income tax, that goes back to the Mitt Romney statement in 2012.
Yeah, that is a little rich as far as I'm concerned, but I think the trend is there. I think the fact is, and we will get to that when we talk about the personality that we want to talk about, but I'll tell you this, I've been so astounded by the vast range of people that have had it with Washington and the people that have, not only from a party standpoint, but from the way the people that we send to Washington and to send to the state capitals and how they behave and give away our money and don't really care. And that is what, this is a revolution that's going on in this country today without actually being violent. It's just a silent revolution that we're going through.
And as far as the Donald goes, he really hasn't had to spend any money either because he's just such a media mogul. Everywhere he goes, everybody wants to be near him. Everybody wants to cover him. He doesn't have to spend any money. Well, Jeb Bush spent $120 million.
I know.
And got
it
4%.
Blew it. Nothing. I think, part of that is the fact that the media is supporting him because remember when in Iowa when he refused to be on the last debate, Fox lost about $500 million that they would have had if he was in the debate.
That's why O'Reilly was basically begging him the night before.
I know.
To come on. I'm sure Ailes said, "Look, there's a bonus in it for you."
Yeah, I mean, this is I call that charisma. I call that the ability to charm people, even when they sound like they're being absolutely ludicrous in their arguments. But they have this ability to entertain is really what it is.
And so, again, all this money that's being spent against Trump, he seems to be doing, his poll numbers go up. Even when he made that comment about John McCain, which I thought was the worst thing I could have heard any politician say. He said, I like war heroes that don't get caught. I couldn't believe he got away with that.
We have a tremendous residue of anger that has been stored up in all elements of our society. I don't care if they're left, right, center, whether they're women, whether they're men, old, young, even people that are on the dole. People are sick and tired of the way we're being governed in this country. And when a man comes along and says things that might even be outrageous and ridiculous, they say, that guy makes sense because that's what I always thought myself. When a potential leader comes along and he says, I have the answers, and then he enunciates the answers, and he says, here's what it is, and most people say, that makes a lot of sense because I always thought when you cater to people with a thought that they always felt they themselves had within them, then they tend to flock to that type of person.
Now, this may be somewhat of a stretch, but do you see any parallels to the Adolf Hitler?
Oh, absolutely.
So it's not a stretch.
No, it's not a stretch, man. And you brought that up, and I'm telling you, a professor from Harvard took up that issue just a couple days ago as we speak. And this is not to say that he is that. There's no way of saying that he's a demagogue or a brutal killer like Hitler was, but that is what.
But the parallels of the people.
I can tell you it is because Hitler in 1932, a year before he became chancellor, was looked at as a joke. An idiot walking around with an armband.
And they continue to try to paint Trump as a joke.
Well,
nobody can build an empire that he built being a joke.
In the last year, Hitler flew around in a plane called Hitler over Germany, double entendre. Hitler over Germany and only flying over Germany. And the crowds were fantastic. They were coming out everywhere to hear him, which was very